Before time was broken, there was perfection. Everything was created by the word of God. The sun, the firmament, animals, trees, the heavens and the earth were created by his word, and nothing was created without his word. There was perfection.
At the center of this living paradise stood the giver of life. He appeared as an ancient man, radiant beyond description. Light poured from him like the rising sun, warm and pure. In his hands, he formed two beings, the man and the woman, delicate, yet filled with divine breath. With gentle authority, he spoke life into them. They opened their eyes for the first time and saw him. And in that moment, they lacked nothing.
Then he stopped. Before them stood a tree unlike the others, mysterious, set apart. His voice softened, yet carried unmistakable weight. They were free to eat, to live, to enjoy everything around them. But this one tree was not to be touched.
Adam, you can eat from other trees of this garden, but you shall not eat from the good and evil.
I warn you.
The day you eat from it, you shall die.
Not out of restriction, but out of love. For he knew what they did not yet understand, that some knowledge carries a cost. The man listened carefully and nodded. Trust came easily in a world without fear, and for a time, all was well.
Time passed in harmony, until a voice, smooth and quiet, entered the silence. The woman stood near the forbidden tree when the serpent approached, not with force, but with suggestion. Its words were careful, calculated. It did not command. It questioned. It planted doubt where trust once stood. The woman hesitated. She remembered the warning, but now uncertainty began to grow. The serpent leaned closer, its voice almost comforting. What if the command was not protection, but limitation? What if there was more? And just like that, innocence began to fracture.
A hand reached out. The fruit was taken, and with a single bite, everything changed. There was no thunder, no immediate destruction, just silence. A silence heavier than anything they had ever known. She turned to the man, offering him the same choice, and he took it. The instant he did, the light that once surrounded them disappeared. What once felt natural now felt exposed.
Fear entered the human heart for the very first time. They looked at themselves and saw something they had never seen before. Vulnerability. Where there had once been confidence, there was now shame. They scrambled to cover themselves, hiding behind leaves, hiding from each other, and ultimately, hiding from the one who made them. The garden had not changed, but they had.
Send them out of the garden.
There was justice to be done, but even in that moment, compassion remained. The giver of life looked at them, not with fury, but with deep sorrow. Then, in an act they did not expect, he covered them, not with leaves, but with something greater.
Beyond the garden, life was no longer effortless. Pain entered existence. Children were born into a world that no longer knew perfection.
The world was no longer kind.
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 Inside the garden, the giver of life watched, not distant, not indifferent, but grieving, because what he created in love was now living in separation.
At the very gate that once closed them out, He stood, silent, willing. The angels hesitated, but understood. This was the cost, the punishment that belonged to humanity. He took upon himself. Blow after blow fell. Pain, blood, silence, and still. He did not resist, because this was not defeat. This was love choosing sacrifice.
Then, suddenly, light broke through the darkness. The gate trembled, and slowly, it opened. The barrier that once stood firm gave way. Justice had been satisfied, and mercy made a way.
What was lost was restored.
At the edge of the garden, the serpent lingered. But its time was over.
Be
The
gone,
angels
serpent!
advanced, their swords blazing. There would be no return.
Be gone,
No
serpent!
second deception. Darkness was driven out completely. The Garden of Eden, which represents eternity, is now open to mankind through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. The gateway man needs to enter is faith in his death and resurrection. What was once lost through disobedience has now been restored through divine love. No longer guarded by separation, the way is made open, and all who believe may enter, restored, redeemed, and made whole again.
Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened,
And I will give you rest.
If you have been blessed by this video, kindly subscribe to receive more. Like, comment, share, and let others be blessed as well.